everybody, Jewel back with another super cool astrology video. And today I wanted to talk about the conjunction of Mars and Pluto in the birth chart. What happens when we see these two bad boys coming together? So, Mars is our power drive. It's our ego energy, what we want to be appreciated for doing, for achieving, for going out and getting. And is very much that element in our personalities that wants to be recognized and appreciated for our ambitions and the achievement of that. Pluto is our power drive and the things that we very much desire, a lot of times secretly, the things that power us from the back, because typically they are undealt with, they are not made conscious, with things that really rule us, because what you don't know that you don't know is the biggest part of what's actually going on in human nature. So when we have these two coming together in a conjunction and mixing, we see somebody who is extremely resilient. These people are tough. When we have Mars mixing with Pluto, it makes for a very, very tough and often inflexible person. Their will is rock solid. And they are capable of withstanding enormous stress and environmental and personal onslaughts that will just throw the rest of us under the bus. So they do not bend to rules either. These are the people who make the rules. So they can very much successfully control and manipulate their environments through their powers of being. They don't have to do a lot. They have this aura of just strength and power, and they're very much like, when I approach my mini pony and, she's very hard-headed and wants to do what she wants to do, but if she knows that I'm going to make her do it, she will do it. These people are like that all the time. So, Darth Vader definitely had this conjunction. The Brain, from Pinky and the Brain, definitely had this conjunction. Hillary Clinton has this conjunction. Margaret Thatcher has the square between Mars and Pluto, but she still has that energy going on with her. But the square actually invites more arguments against you, where the conjunction is just more, I'm going to tell you what to do and you aren't going to argue with me. So they are very competitive and typically very successfully so. They really outdo everyone around them in whatever it is they pursue, because the way that they apply their will and their energies is very strategic. And they are the great strategists and tacticians among us. So they know how to see and envision a plan, usually that involves their desire to increase their power or increase their holdings or increase their influence. And they are able to apply their will to their ambitions in such a way that they win. So these people can actually be very ruthless, and ruthless in the real definition of the word, which is acting without emotion. And they really like high stakes, risks. These kinds of things really get their blood going because they are really suited to it. And ultimately, it is about challenging themselves, where like the square or the opposition end up challenging others. These people are in it to challenge themselves. So ultimately, they are always trying to beat themselves at their own game. So where they don't really stir up opposition because of the way these two come together, like the opposition and the square, they are that laser focused willpower that will put you into the ground if you dare to cut them off. So it's just the way of being is very powerful. So they really don't realize that they are competing with themselves a lot of the time. They think that they are going for their desires or their ambitions. But see, we have Mars and Pluto mixing together. So they're very much, in their minds, the same deal. So, and this is why conjunctions tend to make people very complex. So they can often be destructive with how they push and how they insist and let their desires and their ambitions really lead. It's not something that is, the destructive element that comes from that is not something that's really, really obvious. You're not going to see this generally like you are in the outside world with either the square or the opposition, where you have a much better chance of seeing how your will and your desires and your insistence on what you want has really caused a certain amount of difficulty. This one works in such a way that because they are successful at implementing their will and getting what they want, there isn't a lot of fallout, but yet see that energy is still working there. So it's one that has a more subtle effect. So these people can be very successful in getting what they want. A lot of times, not a lot of times, but sometimes that can be in pursuits that are more selfish-centered. Now, this is a video about one thing, this one conjunction. We can have a lot of other things going on in somebody's personality, and this can be one element. And this can be something that shows up situationally. A lot of times, this is one that's so powerful that it does show in the larger scope of somebody's character and personality. So you have to take the entire birth chart into consideration, because we can see somebody has like a buttload of Sun Neptune and Moon Neptune going on. So they have this sweetness and this Neptunian kind of infirmity going on, while we have this superfirmity going on with this particular conjunction. People are complex and they are multi-layered. So this is one that you absolutely want to look at the entirety of the chart to see how powerful or how encompassing is this particular conjunction going to be, and what house is it in? Is it in the first house? Is it in the third? Ooh. Is it in the eighth? Ah! These are things that you need to consider. So somebody that is committing themselves to powerfully gaining pursuits or trying to increase their Pluto, is that is symptomatic of someone who has not made conscious their Pluto, meaning that they are still letting their ambitions and their desires lead. So the thing is we have to get conscious of how we throw our weight around with this particular aspect. And when we are, we know that we are starting to work with it in a way that is successful. Because we don't want to step on other people to get what we want, right? Right? People with this conjunction, right? We don't want to do that. We want to have people work with us. We want them to come to a place where we can lead them to success instead of require them to have the kind of success or behave the way that we think they should in order to have greater success. So, humility comes through realizing that we are not the master of the universe when we have this particular conjunction. We feel like we are. We've always had that sense. And we have to come out of that and realize that that is our perception of the world. And the ego and the will with this conjunction are fused so completely that they very much can confuse what's what when it comes to what they want. Because when they want something, they can see that as something they must pursue and go get and bring home. And so when they get it, they can be dissatisfied because it really wasn't what they wanted. What they were doing was proving to themselves that they could do it. So there's kind of a caveman mentality here, even for females, because seriously, if a female has this one in her chart, she was back down there in the day of caveman, she was out doing the hunting, I tell you what, and bringing that back, because these women can do it. And so they need to know, I say caveman mentality because they need to know that they can go out and they can get it. They can survive. They can go out and get that meal and bring it back to the cave. They need to prove to themselves that they can earn. Their survival instinct is so powerful that these are not people that are going to be happy living a life where they are, having everything provided for them, or there could be a lot of other things going on there too. But see, the thing is they have to prove to themselves that they can survive. They have to prove to themselves that they can do it. And sometimes they will get themselves unconsciously into situations where they have like the rug ripped out from under them. Or they experience a kind of infidelity. That's common. Or they experience a opposition when it comes to how they've been using their sexuality or their will, and that puts them into this position where they have to all of a sudden get out there and start proving themselves that they can earn, they can survive, they can do it. So they act out in society and in their relationships this survival instinct. This is a very primal conjunction to have. So they're really good also at getting the money and the support that they need, the financial backing that they require to pursue their ambitions or to increase their power or their holdings or to get what it is that they're after. And because people see in them an ability and a power, and that's required in order to have somebody invest in you. So there's also this very, it's an intimidating aspect to have. So people don't generally want to say no to these people. So all those things combined really make for somebody that, can walk into a room and say, I want this, this, and this. This is what I expect. And people are going to sign it and say, when would you like us to deliver, ma'am? So it's one where they tend to have a reputation for getting at what they want and a reputation that precedes them as well. Lessons in humility are really what's required here. And when they can get to that place, and a lot of these people do, when they can get to that place, then this is really when they can start building intimacy with others. They can start really letting that guard down that they don't understand that they have. People with the opposition or the square, they get it. People with the conjunction have to come to realize this. And when they can soften and relax, then this is when others can really get close. And they can start a real process of building intimacy in their relationships. So it's a very powerful aspect. It's one that if you're a female, you're probably lucky to have it. it is one that makes for just a really magnetic, typically sexy, and definitely attention grabbing individual. So I hope that this was helpful. And if it was, please like my video and subscribe to my channel. You can find me on the internet at truthandaspectastrology.com. Yes, I do private consultation. You can find me on Facebook at Truth and Aspect Astrology, where you should be following me, because I do daily astro weather forecasts, birthday descriptions, articles, and writings. And I specialize in relationship and intimacy astrology, and also asteroids and planetoids. So I'll be back super soon with more super cool videos. Bye-bye.